my rear pocket all day. If one of you would have just grabbed it and ran away, you'd have been out of here a lot sooner. Well, good afternoon and welcome to the 2024 State of Harrison Township Address. Thanks again. I'm not going to mention all the sponsors, but remember, without them, it would have cost everyone a lot more to be here today. So thank you, sponsors. Thank you also to Gino Surf for hosting this year's event, as well as the Macomb County Chamber for organizing and promoting the event. There's a lot of people I would like to recognize. I didn't put them in any order. Again, we can leave sooner if you don't clap. We've got Phil Rode from John James' office, Jim Sawyer from the college, Emily Melitz from Governor Whitner's office, Mark Delden from the county executive's office, Andrew McKinnon also from the county office, Alicia St. Germain, our state representative who's doing a great job, Barb Zinner, county commissioner, Larry Rocca, treasurer, Tony Forlini, who just spoke, Mark Heckel, county executive, Brad Kirsten, Frank Viviano, Rick Stathakis, and Bob Cannon, four of my peers, and I'm really appreciative they came out to support me. I probably missed somebody, so I apologize, but too late. Our clerk, Adam Witt, treasurer, Larry Tominello. We have Paula Rose, David Brado, and Dean Olgiati, trustees, so appreciate them supporting me. From the township, our fire chief, Dave Bostager, Paula Phyllis, who really runs the fire department, Justin Murphy is our public services director, Nikki Gibbous, finance director, Debbie Kopp, assessor, Brent Condon, building official, Stephanie Middlestat, deputy supervisor, Terry Selgott, deputy clerk, Angie Troyer, deputy treasurer. So thank you to all of you for coming and supporting me. I'd like to begin with a story. Most of you probably don't know this, but Bob Cannon, Brad Kirsten, Frank Viviano, and Rick Stathakis are all hot air balloon pilots. It's a side hobby they have. Recently they were on a trip when they realized they were lost. So they decided to lower the balloon to try to figure out where they were. They spotted a man in a field, so they got even closer and reached out to him and said, "Hey, can you tell us where we are?" And, "Sure," the man said. "You're in a hot air balloon about 30 feet off of this field." So Brad looked at the fella and he said, "You know, are you an engineer?" And the fella answered, "Yes, but how did you know?" And Brad replied, "Well, because everything you've told me is technically correct, but it's of no use to us." The engineer replied, "Are you guys township supervisors?" And Brad said, yeah, we are, but how did you know?" Well, the engineer said it was easy. "You don't know where you are or where you're going, but you expect me to be able to help. You're in the same position you were before we met, but now your problem is my fault." This is my 13th State of the Township address, and the first time it's been held at Gino Surf. I will share with you, I look back at prior speeches when I prepared, and I noticed in my 2011 speech, the font was a lot smaller, and I just had bullet points, and I didn't read it. But I'm getting older now, so I can't see, and I can't remember, so I apologize when I'm reading most of the speech. The Gino Surf is almost 75 years old. It was originally called the Lakeview Inn. The banquet hall was a huge expansion, which was built about the same time I was born. Of course, it's been improved multiple times since then, and the current improvements are amazing. I wonder what Gino Calisi would think of his place today. Many great memories have been made here, and people are still having fun here. It has history, and yet it is new and improved. That is the theme of this year's address. Harrison Township has a long and colorful history, as well as a bright future. We will celebrate our 200-year anniversary in 3 years, yet today you will hear about plenty of new and exciting things happening in Boattown. We are getting 2 new bridges, one at North River Road, one on South River Road. We're in the design phase for a pedestrian bridge over the spillway at Jefferson. This is a much-needed connection in our path system, and multiple grants are funding the majority of the cost. North River Road from I-94 to Bridgeview is being rebuilt in 2025. Federal funds are covering about 80% of the construction cost, and we will split the remaining cost with the county. We dedicated another outdoor sculpture, Jewel, at Tucker Park, and we also repaved two subdivision roads with a 50-50 grant from the county, as well as a special assessment district. Governor Whitmer held a press conference in 2019 at that very same South River Bridge. Mark was there. I tried to give him a hat, he wouldn't take it. It was a make Harrison Township dry again, but it looked like a MAGA hat, and he was definitely afraid. He ran away from me when I tried to give it to him. She spoke about crumbling infrastructure 5 years ago. Despite that and other efforts, we still do not have a long-term fix to fund our roads. Both the Democrats and the Republicans have had a majority in the House and the Senate and the governor's office since I've been in office. But nothing has even come close to passing to fix funding our roads. We've seen countless challenges to local control come from Lansing, telling us locals how to run our communities, but when it comes to their core responsibility to fund and fix the damn roads, still no solution. I can tell you that for every call I get about renewable energy or short-term rentals, we get 50 calls about the condition of the roads. I am asking everyone who has any influence, who represents us in Lansing or has any voice in Lansing, please solve the road funding crisis. The Lakeside Hotel was built in the 1890s at Crocker and Jefferson. Shortly afterward, a railway was built to run from the lakeside up Crocker into Mount Clemens. The 3-mile trip took about 30 minutes. The popularity of the lakeside led to another hotel being built in 1896, right where today's Speedway gas station is currently located. Several years later, that hotel burned down, and the remains were used to build another building across the street, which is today's current Sentimental Lady Saloon. Mount Clemens has decided to abandon their water treatment plant right next to where the lakeside was located and connect to the Great Lakes Water Authority. Recently, our Board of Trustees and the Downtown Development Authority Board approved a $5,000 match toward a grant to fund the Blue Economic Valuation Study, an effort to determine the best use of the land at Crocker and Jefferson that will soon be available for development, possibly a lakefront hotel. We have already learned that the area is the closest that I-94 gets to Lake St. Clair, and because of that, many parts of Metro Detroit are a mere 30 minutes away from this possible destination. This former and possible future hotel site has a colorful history along with a bright future. Throughout this speech, I will talk about a lot of the great things we plan to do, but I'm not going to talk much about how we fund it. I don't have to worry about it because we have Larry. Larry Tominello has been our treasurer for less than 4 years, yet he has made substantial improvements to our investments as well as customer service. Larry, please come on up and tell us what you've been up to.
Thanks, Ken. You know, Ken asked me to come up and speak, and I said, Ken, what do you want me to talk about? He says, talk about what you do best. I said, okay, I can bore everyone with numbers. So with that said, I just want to talk a little bit about our 2023 annual treasury report, just touch on some numbers. For 2023, we invested both in treasury commercial investments, we invested in general fund sweeps for the township and the library. We invested over $8 million over the year. Our total income, interest income, for 2023 was almost $600,000. So the state of the economy, the high interest rates has helped that, but that's the highest interest rate on record that I could find. So we're doing a great job there. We mailed out over 24,000 tax bills. That was between the school, the county, and the township operating costs. About $46 million in taxes we levied, and we didn't collect that much, but we levied $46 million in taxes. I do want to touch on the Harrison Township general operating costs. So Harrison Township is one of the few townships that do not charge any type of operating millage to our residents. We fund our operations from state revenue sharing, cable franchise fees, and interest income. So we're pretty efficient. We don't charge anyone any admin fees. When I came into office in 2020, we had a pretty hefty special assessment debt to the tune of about $3.3 million. The township acted as a bank and funded the infrastructure improvements, and we were really losing money because we weren't keeping up with the effective interest rates. So that today, that debt of $3.3 million is less than $700K. We've been bonding. Yeah, that's great. And that's actually down probably less than 700 today. That was at the end of 2023. And our goal is to bond all projects, so we do not have to be the bank, because typically we end up losing on the interest rates. Our total cash on hand at the end of 23 was around $12 million. You heard me talk about our online portal platform, which is our free payment option for our residents. The tool was implemented in 2021 and was implemented for tax and water payments. It's now expanded to include waterfront park rentals, parks and recreation events, EMS fire services invoices, senior center events, and EDC events. After 2.5 years, we've had 5,500 residents using the portal to pay bills. 1,500 signed up for auto pay, so that's what they mean is they don't have to write us a check, and every time the bill is due, it automatically gets paid. 611 signed up for text messaging, so every time those bills are paid or any kind of activity, they get a text message. We have 274, and I'd like to see that number grow, for using paperless billing. So that means you don't get a bill, you get an electronic bill, and it tells you what's going to be paid. That saves the township money, and we want to really market that to increase that across the township. We have about 600 residents using the interactive voice response, which is where you can call in and make your payment over the phone. I want to talk a little bit about our retiree healthcare funds and our pensions. So our retiree healthcare fund, our beginning balance at the beginning of 2023 was $5.5 million. The ending balance was $6.7 million, an increase of $834,000 in that fund. And that was after a loss of about $825,000 in 2022, so really turned up on that one there. The fire pension fund, our beginning balance was $15 million in the beginning of 2023. We had a market appreciation amount of $1.7 million, with our ending balance of $16,896. And that was again after a loss of $3.6 million in 2022, so that also came back based on market conditions. The Harrison Township Fire Pension also qualified for the Protecting Michigan Pension Grant Program. The fund received a grant in the amount of $481,000 in 2023, so that helped boost that the balance of that fund. Our employee pension fund, our beginning balance was $1.4 million, ending balance was $15.8 million, with an increase of $1.9 million, and again that was after a loss of $2.4 million in 2022. So all in all, we had a really good year. 2024 has also been a good year, a little bit more volatile this year because we just had a 50 basis points reduction in the interest rates, and we have projected up to 2 more interest rate cuts before December. So the strategy that I'm using and that we're doing investigation and research with is long-term investments. So because rates are falling, we want to lock in at a higher rate longer term and hopefully 2024, I can come back and talk to you next year and tell you we made more money. So thanks very much.
Thank you, Larry. I would like to share with this audience some headlines and quotes pulled from the Detroit Free Press. The Democrats still denied representation on the receiving board. Precincts giving Democrat majorities thrown out, but Republican precincts retained. The Democratic leaders are unanimous in their belief of their success, but Republican leaders are not so confident. Fraud so transparent that even the most zealous partisan cannot ignore it. The senator says beyond question the ballot returns had been opened, and other visiting Republicans admit that the affair looks peculiar. Negligence of an election officer sought to be used to disenfranchise an entire county. Returns from 5 parishes in Louisiana giving a 2,900 vote Democratic majority purposely withheld by Republican supervisors. Does this sound familiar to you? Maybe you read these headlines yourself. Probably not, because they are all from November of 1876, when Republican Rutherford B. Hayes defeated Democrat Samuel J. Tilden. I looked through a database of newspapers to try to find something to find these quotes. I also learned in my research, oysters were back in 1876, oysters were 25 cents a quart, bacon and ham, 14 cents a pound, and you could buy the best California brandy for 80 cents a bottle. American politics has a colorful history and an exciting future, just like Harrison Township. I predict we will see more of these headlines in the coming weeks. Our waterfront park also has a long history. Some residents recall a beach at the park and share stories of family fun there from their youth. Other folks have celebrated family milestones at the park. Today, many folks visit the park to fish from its banks, and we reserve the pavilion for parties and showers. Over the 14 years of my time as supervisor, the park has seen improvements such as a new playground, an outdoor sculpture. At the same time, it has been in need of improvements to the shoreline and our bathhouse. In the 2029 State of the Township address, which I'm sure many of you remember, I announced that we received a $156,000 grant to rebuild the shoreline. We tried to get the work done in 2020, but COVID messed that up. However, COVID also led to ARPA funds, and this year the Board of Trustees voted to use some of our ARPA funds to enhance the waterfront shoreline project. We recently awarded a $1.3 million contract to the E.C. Cornefeld Company to not only rebuild the shoreline, but to also construct a 105-foot-long fishing pier out in the lake and a multi-use concrete ramp into Lake St. Clair. The work is ongoing. We've also begun work to remodel the bathhouse at the park. Google reviews told us that people loved the park but hated the restrooms, which was really no surprise. Our homegrown building official, Brent Condon, has agreed to take on the additional responsibility of being the general contractor to modernize the bathhouse, with support, of course, from the board. So thank you, Brent. Our most recent hometown hero, Sue Keene, applied for, was awarded, and oversaw a Partners in Public Art grant from the DIA to have a mural painted on the west side of the bathhouse. Thank you, Sue. You know what? Let's say a round of applause, thank you, Sue, because that's just one of the many things she's done. We had to surprise her this year. She was our hometown hero, but we really told her that it was someone else and got her at the last minute, so that was classic. Pat Perry is the local artist. He has a studio in Detroit and a portfolio of work all over the world. He recently finished the mural, and we will dedicate it in the spring. Waterfront Park is another example of a part of Harrison Township that has a wonderful history, along with a bright future. And today I'm proud to announce it has an even brighter future because we have decided to rename and dedicate Waterfront Park as the Colonel Donald and Candace Miller Park. Miller Park will be an eternal reminder of the public service that Don and Candace have given to our community. Donald Miller was a fighter pilot who served in the Vietnam War. He led the 127th Wing and also served as base commander at Selfridge Air National Guard Base. After retiring from the military, he served as a circuit court judge from 1998 to 2010. I didn't know Judge Miller personally, but I vividly remember following a case that he was hearing when I first began to serve as a trustee for Harrison Township. I remember reading his decision in the Macomb Daily and then meeting him at a fundraiser later that very same day. I decided to approach him and share my opinion. I told him how much I agreed with his decision. His response was polite, confident, yet humble in the way that members of the military seem to have mastered. I've known Candace for even longer. I recall being a new homeowner and being concerned about a potential development at the end of my street. I attended a township meeting where everybody was there and most everybody was all worked up, wanted to go to public comment, the whole thing. Candace was our supervisor at the time, and that was my first real interaction with local government. Candace was calm, civil, and polite. She heard my concerns and responded in a genuine way that I try to replicate every day as supervisor. Later, she served us at the county, state, and federal level. She left a stable position in Congress because she saw corruption at a county level, and she worked hard to defeat someone who was frankly crooked. Today, every resident of Macomb County is better off, and our regional storm and sewer systems are way better off because of the work that Candace did. Collectively, these two are deserving of more than just the recognition of the name of the park, but this is the least we can do to show our appreciation for their service. So, Candace isn't here. I don't know if that's part of the reason, because I did obviously talk to her before I proposed this, but thank you to Candace, and on behalf of her late husband, thank you to Colonel Donald Miller. So back to the state of Harrison Township. Our water and sewer department is in great shape. We were awarded a $1 million DCIP grant to rebuild the Prentice Sanitary Sewer Lift Station. This is what we learned later, a very competitive grant from the federal government, and the team at Selfridge played a huge role in helping us apply for and receive the grant. The grant will pay for a majority of the cost to rebuild this critical part of our infrastructure. Construction should begin late this year, and we are nearing the completion of installing our new water meter reading system. We are down to less than 800 meters that need the new hardware. The system will help everyone prevent large water bills due to leaks, and it will also simplify our billing process, and Justin played a huge role in that, so thank you, Justin, for your efforts with that. While some fire departments are struggling to hire and maintain staffing, we are fully staffed thanks to the efforts of Chief Bostater as well as IAFF Union Local 1737. We recently approved an agreement that allows us to hire and train interns, another innovative idea to help with staffing. This year we received $90,000 in grants to purchase gear and equipment. We, to date, have had 47 fire runs, 3 water rescue runs, 1,480 EMS runs, including 1,005 transports, and 115 motor vehicle accidents with injuries. Our fire marshal, Larry Shackett, along with assistance from his fire inspectors, have performed 46 plan reviews, 514 inspections, and 20 fire investigations. All of this is the result of the efforts of many, but it wouldn't have happened without the leadership of Chief Bostater. Thank you, Chief. Our assessor, Debbie Kopp, gives me assessing data to report every year. For 2024, our state equalized value is up 11.65%, and our taxable value is up 7.56%. Thank you to Debbie and her staff at Assessment and Administration Services for handling all of our assessing needs. It is important to note that the growth in these property values is the collective result of everyone working together to make Harrison Township a place that people want to live. Property values are driven by not the assessor, but the sales of the properties. A big driver of our property values is our schools. Lance Cruz is always included as one of the features when property is listed for sale. I am happy to now introduce the newest Lance Cruz Public School Superintendent, Mr. Keith Howell.
Thank you, Ken. And thank you, everyone, for having me today. I started in Lance Cruz on October 1st, so this has been a great new experience for me. I started my career in Van Dyke Public Schools, where I spent 10 years there. I was 5 years as a teacher. I was a building principal for 5 years. My building closed, and it shifted me to Grosse Pointe Public Schools, where I spent 19 years in Grosse Pointe. I was very happy in Grosse Pointe. A lot of great things were happening there with curriculum and instruction, supporting students, and I heard about this position opening up in Lance Cruz, which was closer to my home, and also I started investigating the community. I started talking to people and learning a lot about the area. I started talking to teachers, administrators, families, parents that had their kids going to Lance Cruz Public Schools, and I saw a great correlation between the values that I've been part of for the last 19 years in Grosse Pointe, connecting very well with Lance Cruz Public Schools. So I decided to apply, not knowing if I would get an interview or not, and I did, luckily. And I went through the process, went through tours of the buildings through that interview process. Mr. Van Camp, who's here, helped me go through those tours. He was actually my tour guide that day. And I learned a lot about the district and how amazing it is. And when I talked to Ken, Ken gave me some information. He's like, really want to highlight the district, tell us what's going on. Well, I've only been here since October 1st, so my level of knowledge of the district has been getting a briefing, going to classrooms, going to administrators, learning about the school district and what it stands for. My guiding principles starts with relationships, building relationships and connections with each other, with our students, with our teachers. Safety and security is extremely important to me. How do we make sure that our students feel safe when they're at school, our teachers feel safe when they're at school? And I know that is the value and the guiding values of Lance Cruz Public Schools based on my short time here. I've also had the opportunity to attend events. I went to the county high school girls swim meet at Lance Cruz North, where they put on the entire girls programming in the state, in the county, was swimming that day. And just the pride of being able to host that event as a school district, you sense that from the community and from the coaches. I also went to the district event for our band program at Lance Cruz North and Lance Cruz High School that were presenting their band, marching band festival. They were probably some of the best. And the excitement, the energy around the students, the community, it was sensed there. My 10th grade daughter was with me that night, and she goes, these kids are so much better than our school. So it was just great to be able to have that evening with her. I've been to trunk or treats across the community, and just seeing the vibrant excitement about just being there. And when I interviewed for the position, the Board of Education asked me to come up with a 100-day plan. And that 100-day plan had 4 objectives. One was governance. How do we make sure, and I make sure that the Board of Education and I have a shared vision to support our community. The other thing was the bond of it, that is currently on the bond proposal for November 5th. To have great schools, we have to have the funding to support it. And we are in the process of just educating our community about this bond, making sure people understand that this bond is a no tax increase bond, and it's also going to be supporting our infrastructure. It's going to support classroom renovations, improvements, HVAC system. If kids aren't feeling comfortable in the environment that they're in, it's very difficult to learn. So those are all the things. We're going to be supporting athletics. We're going to be supporting our band program. And a lot of schools, the school district I came from in Grosse Pointe, they went to bond 2 times and had 3 sinking funds in the same time frame that L'Anse Creuse Public Schools had 1. So it's very important that we are able to get the right funding for our students and really focus on educating the community about what the bond is going to do for their students in our community. Strong schools mean strong communities. So I believe in that. I also believe in making sure that we create a joyful culture for learning and for our teachers and our students. And I sense that in L'Anse Creuse Public Schools. My excitement for being here is second to none. I plan on having a long career, so I know this is day 15 on the job, and I'm at a Township of Harrison information session, and it's not something I thought I'd be doing today, but I really appreciate all of you. I appreciate the school community, and I appreciate all of our students that are here learning and trying to make themselves better for our community as well. So thank you, Ken, for having me today, and I wish you all the best. Have a great day.
Thank you, Keith. I had said I generally read the speech as I've gotten a little less, sharp, but I don't need any notes for the bond. In my role, I found it kind of interesting that folks from time to time during the election will call and say, hey, what do you think about this? What do you think about that? And frankly, I'm flattered that some of my friends or folks I know value my opinion. And so I want to make sure that I'm informed. I want to make sure that if I give an opinion on something that is on the ballot, that I did my research. So I took the time to look at I just went on BS&A and looked up tax bills all over Macomb County. And all of our peer school districts have this similar bond millage. Some are higher, some are lower, but the most common amount is the same amount that L'Anse Creuse is asking for. So I can't imagine how somebody could vote no on this millage question and expect the district could provide at least an equal level of education to our young people in our township with that much less funding. So I can just say I'm voting for the bond. What else is there to report? Our building department has had a busy year. We've issued 20 permits for new homes so far this year, and overall building permits are up 25% this year compared to last year. The other permits are consistent with prior years. In the last year, our planning commission has approved a new single-family development of 83 homes, and we are working with a group that has plans to build a commercial development at the southwest corner of Hall Road and I-94. We finalized and adopted a new master plan, and we are in the process of updating, making changes and improvements to our zoning ordinances, and both of those efforts were funded through a 50-50 grant from the state. We once again were given an unqualified opinion from our auditors. I always get qualified or unqualified. It's unqualified, right, Nikki? Yes. Yep, good. You weren't paying attention. And we were able to reduce the cost of our audit thanks to our finance director, Nikki's efforts. She agreed to take on the work of preparing various schedules that were previously done by our auditor and saved us money. So thank you very much, Nikki. About 3 years ago, we reopened our senior center after it had been closed due to COVID. We had hired Jen Iannuzzi to restart and recreate the programming at our senior center. I had no idea how successful she would be. Our senior center is rocking. I have bad and good news. Recently, Jen retired from the position. That's bad news for us, but good news for Jen and her husband. We are currently interviewing for the next senior activities coordinator. Across our state, the changes in election laws have caused many communities to lose their clerks. In a lot of the smaller rural townships, this is, certainly something that's part-time. So how can you afford to take off, the early voting period? People say, I'll finish my role, but I'm not willing to serve again as clerk. When I meet with other supervisors from all over the state, they share how much their communities are struggling with the new election law changes. I have never felt that way, thanks to Adam Witt. He is an expert at elections, as well as the best partner I have ever worked with. Adam, come on up and give us an update.
That is way too much of an introduction, more than I deserve, but I do appreciate it. Everything that I'm going to go through is only possible because we have an amazing team that works together at Harrison Township. We are currently, working on our 4th election of the year, and unlike a lot of communities our size, we don't bring in temporary staff to support elections. We're able to pull from other departments. Departments that have nothing to do with election, we'll have those people come in and help us stuff envelopes because we're a team in Harrison Township. So that's really what helps make us accomplish a lot of the things that we're able to. One of the things that I'm proud of that the clerk's office was recognized for, we received the My Excellence Award from the Michigan Association of Municipal Clerks this year in the specific category of technology and innovation. We were awarded this for our email communication for voters. So every time we send out a ballot, you get an email from us. When we send out applications for a ballot, you get an email from us. When we get your ballot back, you get an email from us. If it's getting close to election day, you get an email from us. And we try and maintain that communication because what breeds people's questions about elections is they don't know enough about elections. Long time, elections have sort of been in the past, people haven't been paying attention, now people are watching, and that's okay. The processes are open, people can look at them. And communication is one of those core functions that we can all do better at. Another thing that our office does really well is we are a passport acceptance agency. We recently went through the passport audit where they go through and review all your work. We got a perfect score. And I wish I could take credit for that, but that's my great staff. They do the vast majority of the passports, and they're really fantastic. So if you ever need a passport, we're the place to come see. So this year with voting, implementing early voting has been slow. We've done it 3 times. We're looking for the 4th. The long-term trend you see in communities, you have a third of your voters vote absentee, a third of your voters vote early, and a third of your voters vote on election day. And we have about just over 6,000 people that have voted absentee. And if we expect 18,000 people to vote on for the election out of our population, we're probably going to have a couple thousand people maybe come and vote early. And again, it's new, it's going to take time, but this is something we've been able to implement smoothly in Harrison Township because I get the support from my other departments. When I need the room, we need to move board meetings, I need to kick people out, I need all this space. People accommodate us. This election, we're launching a new branding for our elections department. Our tagline is Vote Town, Vote Town. We have cool stickers for I Voted that a local graphics designer did for us, and it would be the best I Voted sticker in the state of Michigan if it wasn't for that darn werewolf. That werewolf sticker is fantastic. So get out and vote and make sure you get one of the great stickers that they have now. And just touching on some grants that we were able to do. I know Scott from AEW was talking about things you can do to improve water quality. We were successful getting $150,000 to line some of our aging sewers through community development block grants. So again, small scope, but if we don't do the small things, the big things don't matter as much. So when we go through and do those linings, it'll be limiting infiltration from these aging sewers. It'll be like they're brand new. We also got $18,000 for elections, and again, we're using this for communicating with our residents. We send mailers about voting locations, when you can vote, where you can vote, how you can vote. Because again, I think there's probably some people in here that would disagree on what's the right way to vote, but I think we would all agree the right way to vote is to vote. So regardless of how you choose to do it, make a plan and go and vote. So thank you guys for the time today.
Thanks, Adam. 4 years ago, we lost a true American hero and one of Harrison Township's greatest citizens, Lieutenant Colonel Donald Digger Odell. Digger also served as a fighter pilot in Vietnam, and he was shot down and captured. He served 1,976 days as a prisoner of war. That's almost 5.5 years. He retired from the Air Force in 1975 and continued to serve as the public affairs officer for Selfridge. He was very passionate about Wirtz Warriors and Special Olympics. We have looked for a way to honor and memorialize his service, and today I am proud to announce that we will dedicate the new Spillway Pedestrian Bridge as the Lieutenant Colonel Donald Digger Odell Memorial Bridge. This dedication will include plans to commission a sculpture and a garden at the north end of the bridge, along with some method of, maybe a scannable digital link where people can read about his history, because his story is just an incredible one. So, last week, I was visiting our library when a man came in and asked for a grilled cheese sandwich. Melissa is our library director, and she said politely, "Sir, this is a library." So then he quietly whispered, "I'm looking for a grilled cheese sandwich." Melissa wasn't able to be with us today, but the president of our library board, Mr. Blake Hurley, is here to tell us what's happening at our Harrison Township Public Library.
I don't think I can top that joke, I'm sorry. But yes, my name is Blake Hurley. I'm the current president of the Harrison Township Library Board. I've been serving as the president for the last 1.5 years and been on the board for about the past 4. But Melissa asked me to come today. She's currently at the Michigan Library Association conference. But she asked me to come today to talk about what else is going on at the library, and specifically comparing 2022 to 2023, along with some of our current plans. Now, if you cast your mind back to the beginning of 2023, this was essentially the first time we had a full calendar year out of the pandemic. The library saw the in-person use rise back to normal levels for the first time, but what we didn't see was a corresponding dip in our digital usage. We had many new patrons, and of course, we also had a huge increase of our regular patrons using all of our digital services. Now, we even saw large growth throughout 2023 in a lot of our digital programming. Overdrive, Libby, which is kind of the main uses for ebooks, audiobooks, that was up almost 27%. Hoopla, which provides similar, was up 37%. A film streaming service that we offer for free is Canopy, that was up 50%. But the overall winner of 2023 was the Overdrive digital magazines, up 234%. I didn't know that magazines were making that much of a resurgence. Now, the only database that we really saw that had a noticeable slowdown was Bookflix, which provides educational reading resources for grade school kids. Well, it was down 22%. That is not much of a shock considering a lot of parents and teachers were using it during virtual learning. However, even with that downturn, it was still our #1 used database, used just shy of 35,000 times in 2023. Now, obviously with this digital trend, we decided to kind of go all in. If people want digital, then that is what we can give them. As of today, we offer 14 different databases in total, and Melissa wanted me to highlight a few of them. Ancestry.com, the #1 genealogy database. Consumer Reports for product testing and reviews, because you cannot trust what Amazon says is the best. I work in advertising, you can buy that. Creative Bug, which is video workshops for all sorts of artistic skills. Transparent Language allows you to learn just about any of the most common spoken languages in the world. Tutor.com, which not only offers grade school through high school and college academic tutoring, but also job tutoring, which a lot of people don't realize. And a personal favorite of mine, Comics Plus, access to thousands of digital comics. And the quickest growing database that we have is Newsbank, offering the Detroit Free Press, New York Times, and many others. And after we bugged them over and over and over about it, they also were able to add the Macomb Daily. Now, obviously, a lot of our digital services people were using from home, but we also saw a huge rise in our Wi-Fi usage at the library, almost 50%. We also saw huge spikes during any smaller power outages. The library was lucky to only have, I think, one affect them. So we quickly became the hub for pretty much everyone who worked from home now. It was a quick place to come to continue getting back online during a power or internet outage, which is one of our current projects actually now. We're currently looking into getting a generator to power the entire library standalone. This way we can always be a place for people to come and connect, or even just charge up their devices. On top of that, we also continue to offer Wi-Fi hotspots, checked out 171 times. We only had a few back in 2023. We've been continuously adding more up till now. And I believe currently the longest one has stayed in the library before it was checked out again was less than a day. So those have been very popular. Now I can't talk about 2023 without talking about the millage. Our library was able to go from a 0.5 to a 0.8 mil. Now, so many of these things we would not have been able to do without that increase in funding. Specifically though, here are the first places where you put that money to use. We were able to expand our staff, and for the first time, we were actually able to have full-time librarians at the library, along with rounding out the rest of our staff. We were also able to greatly increase our programs on offer. 115 more programs, a 57% increase, and almost 7,000 more attendees, 67% increase. Within that, we had 76 more youth programs, 127% rise. And I'd specifically like to thank Ms. Tina and the youth department for all their hard work getting those programs up and running. And I also know, obviously, hiring people isn't instantaneous. So these numbers really only reflect 6 months of full-time staff. Now, I don't have the 2024 numbers on hand, but I'm very excited to see them because last I heard, we've already blown those out of the water. And finally, we were able to extend the library's hours, but now open 9 a.m. to 8 p.m. every weekday and 9 to 5 on Saturdays. And one last little thing that we were able to do is begin a library of things. More and more in the modern day, libraries need to be more than just books, information, and other stuff. But sometimes you just need things. The cellular hotspots are one of the first items that we had. Like I said, those have been incredibly popular. A few other items that we added in 2023. There are now 20 puppets ready for checkout for all of your emergency puppetry needs. Early literacy kits to help young readers learn the basics and help their parents or caregivers learn how to teach them the basics of reading. With all that said, 2023 was a huge year of change and growth for our library, but we are far from done. Right now, the library faces one main problem: physical space. It's the single bottleneck for us to be able to provide all the things that we want to be able to provide to our community. Over the past 2 years, we've been looking into various options to remodel and expand. But I'm excited to say that very soon we will have finalized plans to change that. A short-term plan, we'll be adding dedicated meeting room and study space to the library. They'll be open for people to reserve, from people working from home, needing a meeting space, group projects with schools, tutor spaces, whatever anyone would need them for. And the exciting plan is for the long term. We'll soon have blueprints to be able to expand the physical footprint of the library and remodel our current space. And with that said, I do want to thank the Township Board here. We would not be able to do this without all of your support. One part of the expansion will be done by hopefully combining our building with the Township's, giving us all multi-purpose space to use. Truly, I say thank you, because we would not be in the position that we are in without the board's support. And I also want to thank the residents of Harrison Township. We have been working very hard to grow and meet the modern day needs of our community. And very soon, I hope we can be the library that you truly deserve. Thank you.
Thanks, Blake. The addition that he talked about, connecting our buildings, really comes as a true advantage for our residents. We need more meeting space. That meeting space has to have public restrooms. We want to offer a better option for our employees to have maybe some break space, different things that we need to do. By sharing one facility, we're not building a set of restrooms for us and a set of restrooms for the library. So there really is a working together. We're going to have, hopefully, not only a better customer experience. Right now, the township is 2 separate buildings. People walk back and forth, apply for a permit, walk over to the other building outside, pay for it, walk back to the other building, get the permit. Not only can we improve that experience, but we can do it at a lower cost by partnering with the library. We recently renewed our contract with Macomb County Sheriff's Office, and I'm happy to report that we are adding a sergeant to our staffing. This officer will act as a kind of a police chief and coordinate the policing efforts in Harrison Township. Because of the growth in property values that we discussed, we are able to add this additional position without any increase in the millage rate. Speaking of police, a man was recently driving his pickup on Metro Parkway when a police officer pulled him over. As the officer approached the truck, he noticed that there were a bunch of penguins in the bed of the truck. So the officer said to the man, "Where'd you get these penguins?" And the man said, "Well, they're my penguins. I own them." He said, "You need to take them to the zoo." So let him go. Next day, the officer's on patrol. He sees the same pickup truck. He pulls it over. As he approaches, the penguins are still in the bed of the truck, but now they're all wearing sunglasses. So the officer goes up there and he says, "I thought I told you to take these penguins to the zoo." And the man said, "I did, and today I'm taking them to Metro Beach." In 12 weeks, I will begin my 15th year as Harrison Township Supervisor. Serving at every level can be brutal. People can be mean, especially on social media. It is the second least favorite part of my job after giving this speech every year. I shared a quote from Abraham Lincoln in my 2020 and 2023 speech. President Lincoln said, "Don't believe everything you read on Facebook." This year, my research found an actual quote from Abraham Lincoln that is actually pretty close. Mr. Lincoln said, "If I were to try to read, much less answer, if I were to try to read, much less answer, all the attacks made on me, this shop might as well be closed for any other business. I do the very best I know how, the very best I can, and I mean to keep doing so until the end." I take great comfort in Abraham Lincoln's quote because it tells me that one of our greatest Americans in history fully understood how I feel sometimes, both from the negative comments as well as the desire to do the best that I know how. I am proud to serve as the Harrison Township Supervisor. I am proud to have inserted several dad jokes in the speech. And like you, I'm also very happy that this speech is just about done. If you didn't like the jokes, you can blame it on Stephanie. She laughed at every one. I don't want to offend my comrades, but I am certain I have the best deputy supervisor in Macomb County. Thank you, Stephanie, for all your work. I can confidently report that the state of Harrison Township is excellent. Our history is rich, and we have a bright and exciting future. Thank you to everyone for listening, and I hope you all enjoy what looks to be the last beautiful weekend of the year. Thank you.
Well, thank you for those insights into all the wonderful things going on in Harrison Township, and thanks for your passion. So let's give Supervisor Verkest another round. And now to hear a few words, we're going to hear a few words from our County Executive, Mark Cackle.
Thank you, Lori. I did not know I was going to do this, much like Tony Forlini, but Tony was a little more shocking because as he was leaving there, whispered in his ear that you're introducing Ken. So that was kind of a shock to him. But make no mistake about it, even though I did not know that I was going to be giving a speech, I prepared one. So, but funny enough, I was talking about that saying, geez, I didn't know I was speaking here. So I was talking to Wayne Emke, and he says, all right, don't worry about it. I says, well, Wayne, yours are somewhat questionable, but go ahead and give it a shot. So I'm going to do mine first, if you don't mind, okay? And then I'll go to Wayne Emke's, all right? So, but first off, let's give a round of applause to the Gino Surf staff here. I gotta tell you, everyone over there, got a beautiful facility, they've done a great job here. Ken, I don't know of any other person. Again, you know what? Up in the DJ booth, he wanted this for a reason. I think he likens himself to DJ Cali Ken is his new nickname. DJ Cali Ken is what we're going to call you. You got to get some bling though. You got to work on that next time you're up here. So with that being said, you're probably the only supervisor or any other public speaker that I know that can actually sit there and drink the water and chew the ice cubes while you're still talking. And nobody thought nothing unusual about it. You know, everybody thought it was just kind of commonplace. So, but with that being said, I first want to thank you for the relationships we have. And Keith, Keith, it is correct. We're going to have a better relationship as time goes on, along with obviously the college, Jim Sawyer and Mike DeVault. I'm sure you've met those folks probably in the past, working over Van Dyke Public Schools and over here. We're so fortunate because it is all built on relationships. Everything we do here in this county. And I say that because a gentleman like this here, when we hear about the word civility in politics, civility and working with other government officials and public, this guy is the epitome of that. And I'm going to tell you, and it's not about Republicans, Democrats. We don't talk about that here in the county when it comes to public officials trying to solve problems. The R's and D's, when I tend to look at R's and D's, it's resources that we have is the R's. What do we have available to help out with the various townships, whether it's roads, infrastructure issues, problems they're having, with health and human services, emergency management. We are there to try to figure out how do we help solve a problem. And when we communicate and we talk on a regular basis to make those things happen and make sure we're doing it the best we can on behalf of the residents. And when I talk about the D part of it, again, not Democrats, development opportunities. And so we're very fortunate. You see what's happening here, opening the doors to Gino Surf. We come in here, we cut a ribbon with the Macomb Chamber. And when we cut that ribbon, we tie it back together. What do I mean by that? We make sure that they know that we're not just leaving them there, leaving them in a lurch as we walk and do our own thing. We're still there to figure out how do we continue to make this business thrive here. But we've seen that in so many other places throughout this township because of the relationships and the partnerships we have and the willingness on behalf of the township to say, you know what, we want to partner, we want to communicate because Harrison Township, one of 27 municipalities in Macomb County, is important to Macomb County. And so we want to continue to figure out how do we do better for the township. And because your willingness and your board as well, it is happening. So, with that being said, this was Ken's speech, not mine, and that was mine, that little bit of it. But now I'm going to go to Wayne's. Wayne, this looks more like a. Wayne, this looks more like a rap. All right, I'm going to go with it. Here we go. This could be dangerous. Are you ready? All right. So apparently he looks as DJ was there. DJ Cali Ken up here rapping the tunes again. Bros like you, like her, like him, like me. Creating a place where you want to be. Not looking for cred or accolades, just enjoying his town on summer days. Speeching and preaching ain't his thing, and he don't like sporting the bling. When you come to his town, just look around. Picks you up when you're feeling down. Listen closely before you leave today. His words will say, HT is the place to live, work, play, stay, or just get away. Snoop, Marshall, Jay-Z, Cardi B, Drake, got nothing on DJ Cali Ken, my man on the lake.